Um, so the reason that I picked this topic this time around was because usually when I send out the quizzes, I'll ask for people to give some suggestions, and this was definitely the most requested topic that we discussed. I know this is a big one for a lot of people, is trying to figure out how to plan their meals for the week. And it's no surprise that that's a highly requested topic, as the CDC has found that on any given day, more than a third of adults in America eat fast food. So that's a big percentage of people eating fast food every single day. And meal planning can definitely help to reduce that. So, we all struggle with it for different reasons, whether it's you don't like to cook, or for most of us, it's not having that time. You get home from work at night and you either don't have the energy, or it's late, you don't have time to throw stuff together, and that's where meal planning can really help with that. When you already have the recipes, the groceries, what you're going to be having for dinner, everything's all set, it makes it a lot easier to stick to that plan, and help you eat healthier as well. So there's obviously some benefits to meal planning. It helps you make nutritious meals for yourself and your family. When you go out to eat, most meals that are prepared at restaurants, fast food places, things like that, they're really prepared to be as mouth-watering, keep the customer coming back type of meals, and typically they don't have much regard for calories, the bad fats that go into them, sodium, cholesterol, things like that. And restaurants and stuff are getting better with that, but you still have a lot more control when you cook your own meals at home. You can choose what goes into it, so it helps you take control a little bit more there. It also saves you time. It may not seem like it at first when you're spending, some time on the weekend trying to figure out what you're all going to make and go grocery shopping and all that, but in reality, it will save you time throughout the week when you don't have to sit there and try to decide what you're making, prep every single ingredient for it every single night. And as you kind of get through and practice this more, it saves you even more and more time. You become more efficient at it. So it'll save you time at home with the meals, and at the grocery store, having a plan when you go there as well. It also reduces the stress of deciding what to make each day. So you spend a little bit of time at the beginning of the week or whenever it's convenient for you, and you plan out those meals, and then you have a stress-free rest of the week. Everything's all set for you. Nothing to worry about until you get to the next meal plan. It also helps with portion control. Obviously, again, when you eat at home, you have a lot more control over that. Restaurants are notorious for providing portions that are 2 to 3 times bigger than a normal portion size. And as often as we have good intentions of saying, I'm going to, box half or 3/4 of this up, I'm only going to eat, a normal portion size. Typically, when it's, put in front of you, you tend to eat more than what you plan and more than what you really need to. So being able to control those helps with that as well. It does help you save money too. Obviously, it tends to be more expensive to eat out, but it also helps because when you have this plan going into the week, when you have a very set grocery list, you know exactly what you're going to make, you tend to only buy what you're going to eat then. You don't buy all that extra stuff that when you head to the store without a good plan and you just see stuff on sale, or you see stuff that sounds good at the time and you randomly pick that. If you make your grocery list ahead of time, you stick to that list, you buy only what you need, and then you eat that food. You find that which kind of leads into the next point, you're not wasting as much food either because you have a plan for everything that you're buying. And so you don't end up buying extra stuff that you don't use, and it goes bad before you have a chance to use it in something. And kind of some scary statistics that do go with that food waste, if that's something that you feel passionate about, if that can be a driving force for you for the meal planning as well, is that over 1/3 of the food produced in America goes uneaten, and 94% of that ends up in the landfills. And the landfills create what's called methane gas, and that contributes to a lot of the climate change, about 20% of that. So if for no other reason, that's a good reason as well to help with, to go towards the meal planning. So then just some basics to think about when you're meal planning. Obviously, nutrition is a big one. You want to try to incorporate each, make sure you're getting all the nutrients that you need. Incorporate all the parts of the My Plate method into that, and I'll show a little example of that in a minute here. But you want to focus on getting fresh fruits and vegetables, or frozen, just getting in enough of those fruits and vegetables. You want to include whole grains. You want to make sure you're getting in lean protein, those healthy fats, making sure that as you plan out those meals, you're really looking at all those aspects of the nutrition. Make sure that you're getting everything you need for those meals. Time is another big factor. Like I said, meal planning, for a lot of people, it's about saving the time. You put in a little bit of time to start, and then it saves you time throughout. So, things that can help you with time is plan ahead or use convenient foods. You can go to the store, you can buy pre-cut fruits, vegetables, you can buy salad mixes already. I know those tend to be a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, try to think about, what's going to be best for you. What are you more likely to end up eating? Is it worth that, extra 50 cents for the already cut up mushrooms, that are already washed and sliced? Are you, if you buy ones that aren't, are you going to end up throwing them out because you never found the time to actually make something with those? Try to figure out what's going to work best there. Obviously, there's cooking methods that help to save time as well. Using your microwave, they've got great frozen steamable vegetables that you can quick pop in for a few minutes. Crock pots and the new instant pot craze is going on. Those can save you a lot of time as well. Invest in some of these things if you feel like it's going to help you in the long run to eat healthier. Getting food processors to help you prepare ingredients for foods. Making meals ahead of time helps you save time using, again, that crock pot. Making batch meals and putting them in the freezer to later take out. All of these things can really help you save time, and meal planning helps with that. It also helps you with your budget, whether you're tight on a budget or not. It's always nice to, save that money where you can. So when you plan, again, I kind of talked about this, it helps you save money when you're at the store because you tend to stick to just the necessities, just what you have planned for those meals for that week or that month. And it also lets you, look ahead of time at what's in the ads, what coupons are out there. You can shop around if you need to see, where certain things are cheaper at different stores. You can buy in bulk and help you save money that way. So it can really be a good tool for budgeting as well. And then another thing to think about when you are meal planning is kind of that meal appeal. So you're more likely to stick to something if you enjoy what you're doing. So you want to make sure that you pick foods, you pick meals that are really appealing to you and your family members so that you enjoy them when you do eat them. Make sure there's lots of color. That helps with the nutrition as well. Getting those colorful fruits and vegetables will vary the nutrients that you get. Make sure there's a lot of good flavor. Experiment with different spices, herbs, oils, things like that. And just really make sure that those meals are enjoyable to you and your family. So going to go through some basic steps for meal planning. I have these in a certain order, but obviously as you go through it, you might find that it works better for you to do it in a slightly different order. So this is something where trying it out a few times, you really need to get into what works well for your rhythm. So as I go through these steps, and if you take this back home and you want to try it, maybe it works better to switch things around. That's completely, up to you. So first, creating a meal list can be really helpful. So just kind of having that master list of what foods are already favorites of yours or your family's. Are there certain recipes that you have saved on Pinterest or Facebook, or bookmarked in a cookbook that you've been meaning to try. Write down some of those recipes. Ask your family for suggestions. It's always more fun for them if they get some input on what's going to be put on the table for the meals. And just don't be afraid to try new stuff as well. But if you can get a good list of meals to choose from, it makes it a lot easier each week to kind of go through that list and say, oh yeah, that's something that I want to make this week, or I haven't made that in a while. And then of course, having some of those favorites to always go back to that, are easy, that are, that everybody enjoys, that helps too. So just having that list, you can always add to it. You can cross stuff off if it, turns out it really didn't work out. But it just saves you time having those ideas there already. So keep this list handy each week when you're deciding what you're going to make. Go through it. And then, make sure with that list, try to include some nice quick meals too, because like I said, saving time is a big factor for a lot of people on why they're not cooking as often as they would like to. So have some of those go-to quick and easy meals as part of that. And that can be its own separate section, however you decide to organize that list. Next, you want to take inventory of what you already have in the house. So go through your cupboards, pantry, fridge, freezer, see what you've already got. That way, when you go to the store, you don't end up buying extras of foods. You don't need 3 things of cinnamon or cumin or whatever it might be. See what you have and keep a good inventory. In the handouts that I provided here on this presentation, I have a list that is some good staple items to always keep in your pantry. Not that you have to keep everything that's on the list, but figure out, popular meals that you make often. What kind of ingredients are you using often? And always try to keep a good inventory of those, keep those in stock. That way when, if there does come a time where you need to make up something really quickly, that you've got a lot of those ingredients already. And then you don't end up buying extras when you go to the store and you're not really sure, do I have this spice? Do I have this baking ingredient? You'll know right away if you do or not. And then with that, it can be helpful too to see, is there stuff that's getting close to being, expired? Is something that needs to be used up? That can help you pick some of those meals when you do decide what meals you're going to make. When you you have something that's going to go bad soon, or that's just been in there for a while, and you can try to plan a meal around that ingredient then. So then next, you want to create your meal plan, and this is really up to you on how you want to do it. You can create a meal plan for a week, you can do 2 weeks at a time, you can do a month at a time, whatever works best for you and your family. And it doesn't always have to be the same. Maybe you got a couple really busy weeks coming up, so you want to do 2 at a time. Whatever works best for you. And then you also have to determine, what are you all going to plan? Are you going to plan every breakfast, lunch, dinner, all of that right away, or do you kind of have your set breakfasts and lunches that you already make, and it's really dinner that tends to be your problem? Or maybe it's lunch that's your problem, but you do fine with breakfast and dinner. Figure out what you really need to plan for the week, and go from there. Then you want to do a little calendar check. You want to look to see what's on your schedule for the week, what days are going to be your busiest, what days you're going to have a little extra time, and that's really going to help you decide what meals you want to eat when. If there's meals that take longer to prep, you want to save those for the days when you aren't as busy. Maybe on the days that you are really busy, you plan for crock pot recipes or leftovers. You really want to see what you've got and try to make it so that your plan can be as successful as possible. So some other ideas for planning out, for choosing those meals. It can be a fun idea, a good idea to try one new recipe each week. You don't want to kind of get stuck on the same cycle over and over if that's something that you or family members are going to get sick of and then not want to continue with it. So can be fun to designate a day or whatever it might be and say that one new recipe each week, or it could be once a month, whatever works well for you. But keep it interesting. Experiment with new ideas. Try a food you've never tried before and see what kind of recipe you can make with that. You never know what's gonna, turn out to be your next favorite recipe. Plan for leftovers. So like I said, you're going to have busy nights throughout the week. You're probably going to have extra food because most recipes, make bigger batches. So plan on how you're going to use those leftovers. You can have designated nights where you're just going to eat leftovers from whatever meals you've already eaten throughout the week, or it can be that you have leftover chicken that you're going to make a soup out of, or a casserole, or getting creative with those leftovers to even create another full meal from them. And that can help you save time because then you'll have some of the ingredients already prepared and you just need to prepare the rest then. Another kind of thing along those lines too is that you can always, double your batches or just make extra and freeze for later. That way down the line you have some quick meals that you can pull out of the freezer. I apologize for the bell. You'll have some leftovers that you can, pull out of the freezer and cook on a busy night again. Think seasonal. Buy fruits and vegetables that are in season if you can. Those are going to offer up typically the best flavor because they're at their peak, and then they usually are another good way to save money. They typically cost less when they are in season. We're lucky that we do have the option to buy most produce all year round, but it can be better, if you choose the ones that are in season. Also try to plan your meals that if you are buying fresh produce, to use that in the recipes early in the week or in something that you're going to freeze. That way they don't go bad and you end up throwing that food out. You can save some of the frozen vegetables and fruits and things like that for later in the week. Mix things up. So not only mixing up the recipes that you're choosing, but also it's a good idea to vary your protein throughout the week. I hear a lot of people that try to eat healthy and, all they can think of are eating chicken breasts and they get really sick of that. But try to vary that protein. There's lots of different options for lean protein. You can have breakfast for dinner some night to incorporate eggs into it. You can have meatless meals, do more with beans and things like that. So try to mix it up. Again, you just want to keep it interesting. Make sure that you're not getting sick of the food that you're eating. And then, like I said earlier, you want to make sure that you're getting a good mixture of the nutrients that you need. So using the MyPlate method is a really good way to make sure that you're getting that. So with this, what you want to do is try to remember that half of your plate should be fruits and or vegetables. And then a quarter of it should be lean protein and the rest should be grains, preferably whole grains a majority of the time. So just keeping this in mind, making sure there's a lot of color to your plate and that you're keeping your portion sizes in check as well. Next, you want to make your grocery list. So compare the recipes that you have with that inventory list that you took. Write down all the ingredients that you're going to need to get from the store, and make sure that you have everything that you need for each meal. It can help to organize your grocery list by the different areas of the store where you can find those items. So having, an area or a list for protein, a category for your produce. Just try to organize it so that when you're going through the grocery store, you're making sure that you're getting each ingredient you need in that section so you don't forget stuff, and it helps to save time so you're not, going from one end back to the other end of the store when you realize that you still need some stuff. And make sure that you take your list with you and try to stick to that list as much as you can, again, to not buy all that extra food that might not get eaten, things like that. And you should include on your grocery list not only, what you need for your meal, but what you need for snacks, drinks, anything that you need there. Try to limit those trips to the store to no more than once a week. And then we talk about making sure that you're shopping wisely. So kind of touched on some of these already, but making sure that you keep your pantry stocked with those staple items. Again, there's a list that I've provided with good examples for that. I just mentioned shopping only once per week to save time and money. The more often you go to the store, the more likely you are to pick up extra items that you don't need. So you spend more money, you end up with more food than what you need at home. Don't shop when you're hungry. I am often guilty of this, that it's very hard to resist some of those temptations as you walk around those aisles. It's harder to stick to your list then. And you also, don't do it when you're too rushed as well, because then you're more likely to forget things. Don't be afraid of store brands. Again, this is more of along the lines of helping to save money. Store brands are often just as tasty, just as nutritious as those name brand items. So make sure that you're looking high, you're looking low, because stores put the most expensive items, which are typically those name brands, right at eye level, because they know that's what's going to catch your eye. So look above that, look below that, compare some prices. For any of you that attended the nutrition workshop this last summer, I did a little taste test there where I brought in some store brands versus the name brands, and with a few items that I did bring, the store brands won out for taste on all of them. So just kind of to prove that you don't have to necessarily spend the money on the name brands to get the taste and the quality. Just make sure you are comparing those nutrition labels to make sure that you're getting the same nutrition out of them. Shop the perimeter of the store first, so that's typically where you're going to find your fresh produce, your lean protein, stay away from those middle aisles that have the boxed and the processed foods, things like that. Try to save that for last and try to make that, the least amount of your items. Again, buying in season and buying in bulk can help to save money as well. So then, as you start to go through some of these steps, as you start to experiment with meal planning, you want to develop your own routine. As I said, you don't have to follow all those steps necessarily in that same order, but develop a routine that works well for you. Something that can help is, you don't have to start from scratch each week. You can designate themes for nights. So maybe Monday is pasta night. Thursday is chicken night, or whatever it might be. You can have a meatless night. Something that when you start to plan those meals, you kind of have a little baseline to go off of. You have a category to choose from. And that can be kind of fun too for the family to say, okay, it's Taco Tuesday or whatever it might be. Anything that you can prepare in advance is going to help you save time throughout the week. So even if it's a full meal that you can put together, a casserole, crock pot meal, something that you can put in the freezer, or maybe it's just items. You can, chop up your fruits and vegetables ahead of time, put those in sealed containers in the fridge, and then when you need them, that saves a lot of time not having to chop all that up. Try to do as much prep work as you can if you have that extra time when you are doing your meal planning. Again, I've mentioned this a couple times, but plan and use your leftovers. So make sure that you have a plan for those if you do have leftovers. Recycle your menu. So, depending on how you're creating these, if you do a weekly menu or whatever it might be, or even just those recipes, don't throw them out. Keep track of what's worked for you. Even if it's the full week, you can create, however many week plans that you want and kind of go back to those and really save yourself time in the future when you just pull out, okay, we're going to use this week and have all those recipes, all those ideas right there. And be flexible with yourself. Your menu isn't written in stone, so if you need to swap things around throughout the week because life happens and things come up, do that. Do whatever works for you. You can have one night, that cook's choice night where you use it to create different things from what's left in the fridge. But be flexible with your schedule as well. And then just using some time savers to help you in the kitchen. Keep frequently used items, cooking oil sprays, spatulas, cutting boards, spices, all that within reach so you don't have to search for them. Clear the the clutter off your counters, give yourself more space to prep, chop up extra veggies for a meal more than you need, so that next time you need them, you don't have to, you can skip that step. Have all your ingredients ready and in place for the meal that you're making, so you can make sure that you're not missing any items or skipping any steps. I mentioned doubling your recipe, so you can double it, freeze the extras, save time, another week on one of your meals. And then clean as you go, so fill up your sink with the soapy water, however it works, however you do those dishes at home. Try to clean up as you go so you're not stuck at the end with a whole bunch of dishes that then need to be cleaned. And then, saving any leftovers that you have, freezing extra soups, sauces, gravies, things like that, and putting them away for another time. And these are just some examples of how you can meal plan. You can choose whatever works best for you. You can go as simple as writing it in a notebook. You can print off a template online. There are so many available that you can print for free. You can buy organizers as well. There's even planners that you can use for everyday activities that also have meal planning built into them. If you're crafty and creative, you can do a little board in your kitchen that your whole family can see, whether it's a chalkboard or there's somewhere you can write down your favorite recipes on little slips, and keep those slips and kind of pull from that each week and just pin them up or whatever it might work. But figure out what works best for you and what can help keep you the most organized. And then here's just some examples of websites that offer healthy recipe ideas. There are so many ideas, so many recipes out there. You can find them on Pinterest, on Facebook, on, just a simple Google search. There are lots of printed cookbooks that you can get, or the ebooks that you can get on your Kindle or tablet, whatever it might be. But just, look at what ingredients are going into that to make sure that you're making some healthy choices. But there's so many options out there. Again, you'll have your favorites, but don't be afraid to try new stuff. Go out and find some recipes. There are a lot of good ones that are 5 ingredients or less that can really help you if you aren't a fan of cooking or you need something quick. Whatever it might be, it's out there for you. So just have to do, a little bit of that prep work again. And if cooking is the part that's kind of hanging you up a little bit, you're not too confident in your cooking skills, or you just think it's fun and you want to, experiment with some other techniques or ideas, there are some options in the area that you can do. Fox Valley Tech offers cooking demonstrations. I think it's about once a month, $25 a person to go, and you get to see from their chefs there. They go through some different recipes, and then you get to sample that at the end. Williams-Sonoma in the mall, they do technique classes to help you, learn how to chop certain things better. They've got a knife technique class coming up soon. I know they have, but they have a lot of different things as well where you can watch and do it. Some other ones, you can schedule your own classes. You can do hands-on where you do the techniques right there in the class. But those are just, fun options if you're looking to expand on your cooking skills as well. So right on time here. That's all that I have for you today. I've provided a lot of resources in the Google Drive that I will send out with the presentation link, and then some in the handout section here as well. So feel free to do that. If you have any questions, I will stay on for a little bit, so feel free to type those in. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and as always, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions on this. I'm happy to help. And this is also a big topic that I go through in a lot of coaching sessions. So just a little plug there that health coaching is also always available to you too, in person or over the phone. So reach out to me if you would like. Thank you all for joining today.